Hey guys, this is D from Tech Shop 82. I'm just creating a quick setup video for the new WirePod Vector bundle. If you purchase this and you're in the process of setting it up before Christmas and you're just running into issues, this is kind of like an overview of how to quickly set things up. My previous setup video is still applies, but a lot of things have changed. So we're just gonna go over that. So the box is a T95 Max Plus. What you get in there will be a T95 itself, and then adapter to plug it in, HDMI cord, which you really don't need unless you can't get to the WirePod server, but we'll get to that, and then Ethernet cord. And those are the things that are contained in the box. So you will plug the Ethernet cord to your router and then plug it to the back right here of the T95. There are no lights on this device, so when you plug in the power over here, you won't see any lights on. The top will be a bit warm, but that's how you know that it's on. So plug in Ethernet cord to your router, give it power, wait for about 2 minutes for it to boot up, and then on your computer, go ahead and try. I'm in Chrome right now. Let's see. Okay, on your computer, go ahead and try to go to escapepod.local. So if, like me, you get this error where it's like, I don't know if this site can be reached and it's not loading up, then what you want to do is you want to go to your router's settings and look for a device called escapepod and get its IP address. And then so in this case, I have one on my network that's at IP address 206. So if you get the IP address and go there and you see this is what you're going to see. Then you know you're good. In the previous setup, you'd have to go to setup and pick a language, but I've streamlined all that so that the English language is the default. All the other languages are already downloaded, so you can switch in between and set your language. I'm going to switch it back to, so it's setting it to Italian, language successfully switched, so I'm going to switch it back to English because I'm going to ship out this box. But you shouldn't need to do this unless you're changing your language. So right now, this is what it looks like. If this loads and it's on your network, then you're good. You're then ready to go to step 2 if you did not buy a vector from me. So step 2 will be the same as in the previous video where you have to flash the firmware and go to vector.techshop82.com, or if you go to not bot settings, bot setup, click on this Kerrigan C link. This will take you to the other site that does the exact same thing. And then you follow along in step 2 in the previous video. But if you bought your vector from me as a bundle, you don't need to do that because vector has already been flashed. So when you power it on, you should see this flashing V on his face. And then all you need to do now is just pair that vector on the vector.techshop82 site. So this is a part where a lot of people get problems. So to pair, make sure, let me see if I can get the glare out of his head face. Make sure he's on the charger and then double tap. This puts him in pairing mode. So this is what pairing mode looks like. He has those hashtags on his face. And then on the browser, you click pair with vector. I don't know why it doesn't show this window. I see my vector there and I click pair. And then if everything goes well, I already paired with this one, but it should ask you for a number. Let me go ahead and clear my cache. And then let's try that again. So I'm going to put them in pairing mode. And then I'm going to do paired vector. Click pair. Then now it asks you for a number. And then the number will be the number that you see on his face. So in my case, it's 444851. So 444851. And hit enter. And then it gets paired. Then at this point, you'll log into your network. So in my case, I'm going to log into my home network. And then click activate. And then it'll go through my network looking for escapepod.local, which it didn't find. So if you get this issue, then it means there's something wrong. So I'm going to go ahead and click activate again. And then this time it worked. So first time, click it. If it fails, wait a couple seconds, click it again. And then it should find the WirePod on your network and connect. And then you just hit save settings here after you set your values. And then that's it. And then Vector is awake, as you can clearly see. So let's say your stuff keeps failing and it keeps failing and you don't see anything. So then what you're going to do is then you're going to click downloads, logs, and wait for the logs to download. Okay, and then you save the file. Just save it somewhere. And then on Windows, if you double click on the file, it will open it up. Then you want to go to, let me see if I can share this window. Okay. Okay. So this is kind of hiding my, yeah, it's not sharing it correctly, but you kind of get the idea. So I double clicked on the file I downloaded. Then you go into data, diagnostics, logs, and then this log.txt file is the file you want to open. So I'm going to go ahead and open that. And then let me switch this window out. There we go. This is stuff you can't read. But the thing you're going to want to look for in here is called escapepod.local. So the error in my case when this happened was it tried to look for escapepod.local and it could not find it. So if you see this here, that could be the reason why your activate is not working. If you see something else here, like you see an IP address where it says port refused, then it means that, especially for those on Windows, it just means that your Windows install is not fully set up and you need to do some more troubleshooting to why that is. But this is not what you should see. It should automatically activate without any issues. And if you see this error, then that's the reason why. But, so yeah, if you got the bundle, all you need to do is plug in the T95 into your router first, then plug in, excuse me, then plug in the internet cord, then give it power. You don't need to plug in HDMI unless you're trying to find the IP address, which sometimes may not show on the screen, so it's best if you go to your router to get the IP address off that way. Plug it in, try to go to escapepod.local. If that doesn't work, try to go via IP. Let me try this escapepod.local. Still not working. And I know why it's not working on my networks, because I have two WirePods running at the same time. But once you have the IP, just go there and you should see WirePod up and running. Now, the other WirePod server I have on my network is this one. When you activate your vector, it will show up here in the list. So these other vectors are off, which is why they're all grayed. But this guy is this guy right here. So when you activate, you should see your vector on there, and then you can then click on him. And then this is where you go to set your locale. There's some people who, when they say, hey, vector, that one triggered. It doesn't trigger for them, but for me, it does. If you're having that issue, you can come to locale here and switch to English Australian, and it makes it a bit better. Excuse me. For your weather, you can change your location. By default, okay. By default, it's set to San Francisco, California. To know which one you want to use, if you're going to be using the Open Weather Map, you can go to openweathermap.org and then do a /find. And then just type in, like, I'm in Oklahoma City. So for Oklahoma City, it's Oklahoma City, US. Just copy that text, go back here, and then submit. And then you want to wait until this says Oklahoma City, US. Then that's how you know that it's saved. You can change your time zone. You can change your eye color. Right now it's teal. I can switch it to orange. I can switch it to yellow, lime green, or azure blue. I like the azure blue. If you do a custom one, you would have to click to submit for it to actually change, like I just did there. So if I switch it back, I'll just switch it back to teal. So for these ones, you don't have to do that. For this one, you do. If you want to set up Alex, I'm not going to say it. You can do that here. If you take pictures with your vector, they'll show up here. If you want to do some controls, see what vector sees. So you can do begin camera stream. So this is my setup right here, right in front of vector. And then these are just some other stuff you can say. You can, for him to say a text, you actually have to assume control. And then I'll say hello world. Which you just said. And then you want to release once you're done. And then you can move controlling with your keyboard. And then if you want him to play an audio through vector, you can do that right here. Now, so there are other things here, but we can save that for a different day. Statistics just really shows this guy's only been alive one day and reacted once to the trigger word. Stimulation just shows how stimulated vector is on a scale of 0 to 1. Right now, he's on his charger, so he's not stimulated at all. So that's vector. For the server settings, there are two things that you want to set up. So weather, like I said, you would go to Open Weather Map, get your API key. So I'm going to log into my account. So go here, openweathermap.org, create an account, go to API keys. No, it wants me to sign in again. And then your API key will be here. I'm going to delete this because I don't want to spend time blurring this. But either way, so once you create an account and go to API keys, it will be here. You copy that key, you come back here, paste it, apply weather settings, and you're done. For OpenAI, or if you want to use a different knowledge graph. So right now I'm using a custom one. So this is on my local. This is my local large language model that I'm running. But if you're using OpenAI, you would go to openai.com. Yeah, we don't want to do 7 days of all this stuff. So you go to products API login. See, I'm already logged in, but in your case, you need to create an account. So you go through that entire process, create an account, and then, oh, actually, no, this was just, let me go ahead and log in. So once you create an account, what you want to do is then go here, click on this cog that's up in the top right next to your username, and click API keys. Then you want to create a new secret key. In the US, I don't know if it's overseas, but before you can create a key, you have to give them your phone number. It's just one of the things that you have to do. Once you get that, then you can come here and create a new secret key. I just call this WirePod. You don't have to. You can leave this as blank as default, and then I'll just call this WirePod. Delete me. Default project, and then create a secret key. It's only going to show you this key once, so make sure you copy it. Copy that key. Go back here, paste it here. These you can leave blank. So I'll go over the options here. Enable intent graph. So this means if you were to say, hey, Vector, and you just say something that's not a trigger word or that's not a vector command, this will forward the request as if it was a question, and it'll send it to OpenAI or whatever large language model you have. That's what this is. If you disable this, you will always have to say, I have a question, before you say your question. Now, this other one, allow the LLM to make the robot perform animations. There's a certain prompt that's defaulted in WirePod that will allow the LLM to kind of send animations to Vector. So like happy, sad, angry, those kinds of things in his response to try and make him more lifelike. If you have this checked, then the LLM you're using will try to do that. It doesn't always work, and sometimes you might get Vector saying what the response is, like, oh, I'm doing good today, play happy animation in his response, instead of actually doing the animation. So you can mess with this to see if that is something that works for you, or if not, you can turn it off. Then this enable conversation is experimental. So with it checked, it just means that when you say, you have to start with, I have a question. So you say, hey, Vector, I have a question. And then, why is the sun red? So in my case, mine is not enabled. But let's say you're using OpenAI and you had this on. What it would do is it would try and create a scenario where your conversation continues. So you can say something, and then Vector will like go with a follow-up question, and then ask you again to to kind of create the conversation. It doesn't always work, so enabling it is not a guarantee that it'll work, but it does. That's what this is for. And then for our non-native English speakers, if your language is set to something that is not English, but you want Vector to respond in your language. So let's say you set your WirePod to German. So I have my language. If I've set this to like German, and I want Vector to respond back to me, this is only for OpenAI, I believe, and I want Vector to respond back to me in German, that's what this option is. So this will use OpenAI's text to speech. That's what TTS stands for, text to speech voice, to respond back in one of these languages. So you can also, oh, never mind, sorry. You can also use this to have him respond back for English as well. So if you want to change Vector's voice, that's what he will respond back with, this rather than using his normal Vector voice. So that's what this option is for. These aren't the things I use, but if you're using OpenAI, these are the things. That's what all this stuff is for. Let me see. Is there anything else? So, and also to keep it, to allow it to save, you have to hit apply settings. Obviously, I don't want to mess up my current settings, so I'm gonna leave this the way it is. But once you set everything up, you set your key for OpenAI or Houndify. So Houndify, when you create an account on Houndify, let me just go to mine. Houndify, log in. So it's going to create an account here. It will be like your first client. Go ahead and click on that, and then that'll give you a client ID and client key. And then you would go back here, enter that client ID, and enter the client key, and click Apply Settings. Houndify is free, so once you do that and click Apply Setting, then you'll be using the Houndify. So the thing with Houndify, to make Houndify's AI a bit more smart, you have these things called domains. So in the domains, you can enable certain things, and certain things require. So like local search takes 2 credits, weather takes 1, music player, I don't even know how that works. Phone, some of these you need to set up, and there are other complicated settings involved with them. But you can, let's see, I think sports is here. I'm not sure where that is. There might be one here. So like, let's say I want to look at sports. So you can add sports queries to your stuff. And this will, like, if you say, hey, Rudolph, what was the score of the Lakers game yesterday? Then if you have Houndify set up with sports, then he may be able to answer you. It's not something I use, but it's something you can do here with Houndify. So once you set that up and you set up weather, then you're good to go. Custom intents and programming, I intend to do in a different video. But that's kind of like how you set up Vector. If you run into any issues, I created on my website a page. So right now, during the holidays, I'm going to be off 23rd to the 27th. Limited communication, so I may not be able to answer email or respond as quickly. But I created this page that you can click on here that kind of goes through, well, some of the pictures aren't there, all of the things I said. Like if you try and set it up, make sure the address is HTTP, not HTTPS, because some browsers, I know Safari does that. If it doesn't load, if HTTP escape.local doesn't load, try and load it via the IP address like I did. If the page shows up, then you're good. If it doesn't load, just make sure like your PC is on the same network as your router and it's not like on a guest network or anything like that. And then flash in the firmware. Just if you're getting a problem pairing with Bluetooth, these are some of the steps you can do to make sure that the pairing works. And if you pair, but then you're trying to activate and you're having errors or you're running issues, these are some of the things you can look at to try and fix it. You can download the logs and send them to me in an email. Just shoot me an email at info@techshop82.com. And then when I get a chance, I can look at it and respond back as quickly as I can. But these are the things that you can do to just get your WirePod set up. Thanks again for choosing my shop to get Vector up and running. Hope you guys have a great holidays, and there's gonna be a whole lot more new things in the new year. This year has been a blast getting to work with the community and getting to see what future things Vector has. Vector to me is still the best desktop robot there. You can see I have Emo here. Emo's good, but as long as Living AI doesn't give us access to the API, I rarely ever play with him. My kids will play with him from time to time, but I don't play with Emo. Cosmo's around here somewhere. I'm trying to do some stuff with him also. But yeah, many more things to come and the next year. Hope you guys have a happy Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.